What makes a man sell another man? What moral calculations allow a father to tear a child from its mother's arms? What kind of society builds its prosperity on such transactions?
Over 170 years ago, Harriet Beecher Stowe confronted these questions in what would become one of the most influential and controversial novels in American history, Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Published in 1852, during a time when the United States stood on the brink of civil war, this novel did something unprecedented. It made slavery personal. It gave names and faces and hearts to people that the law classified as property.
This is the story of Uncle Tom, a man of unshakable faith, of Eliza, a mother who chose the impossible over the unbearable, and of a nation that would soon be forced to confront the consequences of its original sin.
This is Episode 1, The Bargain.
Our story begins in February, in the slave state of Kentucky. This is border country, separated from the free state of Ohio by only the width of a river. So close to freedom, yet for the 4 million enslaved people in America, it might as well be an ocean. Slavery in Kentucky is different from the Deep South. At least, that is what its supporters tell themselves. They say masters here are more humane. They say families are kept together. They say the worst abuses of the cotton plantations do not exist here. This belief is a lie that allows good people to sleep at night. The Shelby plantation lies in the rolling hills outside Louisville. It is a prosperous estate. Everything appears well ordered, well maintained. The main house is elegant, furnished with care. The slave quarters are better than most. They are clean. They are adequate. They are not the disease-ridden huts found farther south. Arthur Shelby considers himself an enlightened master. He allows enslaved people to marry. He permits religious gatherings. He believes he does not break up families, or at least that is what he tells himself. He has even promised freedom to his most trusted slave, a man named Tom, a reward for years of loyal service. Mrs. Emily Shelby goes further. She teaches enslaved children to read. She does this quietly because it is illegal. She cares for them when they are sick. She believes she is doing God's work. Privately, she finds slavery troubling. Publicly, she accepts it as necessary. Their son, George Shelby, grows up beside the enslaved children. His closest companion is Harry, a 5-year-old boy, bright-eyed, quick-witted. Harry is the son of Eliza, the household's most refined servant. Everything appears civilized, controlled, manageable, far removed from the auction block, far removed from the whip. But debt destroys comfortable illusions. And on a cold February afternoon, the reckoning arrives. Late afternoon light slants through the windows of Mr. Shelby's dining parlor. A fire crackles in the hearth. On the table, between two men, sit glasses of wine, decanters of brandy, and a stack of papers that will decide the fate of human lives. Mr. Shelby sits with the weary posture of a man who has run out of options. Across from him sits a man named Haley, a slave trader. Everything about Haley reveals his origins. His coat is too fine for his body, covered in unnecessary buttons. His vest clashes with color. Too loud, too eager. Gold watch chains and rings hang from him like a shop window display. His face is coarse, his manners crude, his grammar poor. But Haley possesses something Mr. Shelby desperately needs. He holds the notes on Shelby's debts, thousands of dollars, debts Shelby cannot repay. And Haley has not come for money. He has come for flesh.
Now, Mr. Shelby, I'm a reasonable man. I understand your situation. You're a gentleman, temporarily down on your luck. It happens. I'm prepared to be accommodating. You have some valuable property here. That fellow Tom, for example. I hear he's the best worker in the county. Honest, capable, religious even. Religious ones fetch better prices. Buyers like to believe their property comes with built-in morality.
Tom is more than property. He's been with my family since I was a boy. He manages this entire plantation. I trust him completely.
Exactly why I want him. A trained man, reliable, in his prime. He's worth every dollar of your debt. But I'll need something more to balance the numbers. I noticed a young boy running about the house, light-skinned, well-behaved, a fine-looking child. The buyers in New Orleans pay handsomely for boys like that. They raise them as house servants, waiters, personal attendants. I'll offer top price.
The boy he's talking about is Harry, Eliza's son, the child who has never known anything but kindness, who has been raised almost as a member of the family.
And in this moment, in this transaction, he has become a line item in a ledger.
The boy's mother is one of my wife's favorites. She's been raised in this house almost like a daughter. My wife would be distressed.
Women always are at first, but they get over it. Buy her some earrings, a new dress, they forget soon enough. These creatures aren't like us, you know. They don't have the same depth of feeling. Nature made them suited to their station. Now, do we have a deal?
Mr. Shelby looks at the papers. He looks at the fire. He looks anywhere but at Haley's expectant face. He knows what he's about to do is monstrous. He has promised Tom his freedom. He has watched Harry grow from infancy. He knows the devastation this will cause. But the alternative is losing everything. The plantation, his social standing, his family's future. In the arithmetic of slavery, some things count more than others, and the suffering of the enslaved never quite adds up to enough.
I'll need to discuss this with my wife.
Of course. But the papers need to be signed tonight, Mr. Shelby. I've got a man waiting and I need to be moving these goods south before the weather turns. You understand?
He understands perfectly. Once the papers are signed, once the deal is done, there can be no backing out. No matter what his wife says, no matter what his conscience whispers, the trap is closing. While these negotiations proceed, let us meet the man whose name will come to define this story, though perhaps not in the way Harriet Beecher Stowe intended. Uncle Tom is a tall, powerfully built man in his 40s. His skin is a deep, rich black, what the era's crude terminology called full-blooded African. His face is broad and strong, marked by an expression of profound gentleness and steady faith. Everything about Tom speaks to dignity. The way he carries himself, the careful attention he gives to others, the quiet authority he exercises over the plantation's complicated operations. Tom is, in every meaningful sense, the Shelby plantation's real manager. Mr. Shelby provides capital and makes grand decisions, but it's Tom who ensures the daily work gets done. Tom who knows which fields need rotation, which horses need rest, which repairs can wait and which cannot. Every morning before dawn, Tom reads from his Bible by candlelight. He reads slowly. He learned to read late in life, taught by young master George Shelby, but with deep concentration. His Bible is worn, its margins marked with his own system of underlines and notations, passages that have spoken to his soul. Tom's cabin sits a short distance from the main house, surrounded by a small garden his wife Chloe tends with pride. In summer, roses and honeysuckle climb the walls. In winter, like now, everything sleeps under frost, but the cabin remains a place of warmth. Tom and Chloe have been married for 20 years. They have 3 children, 2 boys and a baby girl. Chloe is the plantation's head cook, a position of considerable authority in the household hierarchy. She is round, energetic, and fiercely proud of her culinary skills. She can work wonders with the simplest ingredients, and she knows it. Their cabin has become an unofficial church. Every Sunday evening, the enslaved people of the Shelby plantation gather there. They squeeze into the small space, sitting on the floor, perched on the bed,
crowding around the door. Tom leads them in prayer and hymn singing. They sing about crossing Jordan, about Canaan land, about a city with streets of gold, where there will be no more suffering, no more sorrow, no more masters. The white folks think these are just songs about heaven. They don't hear, or choose not to hear, the double meanings. Jordan is the Ohio River. Canaan is the north. The songs are maps encoded in melody. Tom himself has never considered running. Not because he lacks courage, he has plenty. Not because he doesn't dream of freedom, he dreams of little else. But because he believes in something larger than his own liberation. He believes in his word. When Mr. Shelby gave him responsibilities, Tom gave his word he would fulfill them faithfully. He has never broken a promise in his life. He believes in duty. If he runs, he knows the consequences will fall on others, his wife, his children, the other enslaved people on the plantation who depend on the small securities his management has built. And he believes with absolute conviction in a God who sees everything, who keeps accounts, who will, in his own time, set all things right. This faith is not naive. Tom has no illusions about the world. He's seen families torn apart. He's watched people worked to death. He knows exactly what slavery is. But he has made a choice, perhaps the only real choice an enslaved person can make, about how he will respond to circumstances he cannot control. He will endure. He will maintain his integrity. He will trust that suffering born faithfully has meaning, even when that meaning is hidden from him. This is the man Haley wants to buy. This is the man Mr. Shelby is preparing to sell. And Tom, eating dinner with his family on this February evening, has no idea that his entire world is about to end.
While Tom sits in his cabin, unaware of what's coming, another drama is unfolding in the main house. Eliza Harris is a young woman of remarkable beauty and refinement. She's what the era called a quadroon, 1/4 black, 3/4 white, light-skinned enough that in different circumstances she might pass for white entirely. She has been with the Shelby family since childhood, raised almost as Mrs. Shelby's daughter. She was taught to read, to sew beautifully, to move with grace. She wears neat, modest dresses, keeps her hair elegantly arranged, speaks with quiet dignity. In many ways, Eliza represents slavery's cruelest deception, the idea that if the enslaved person is refined enough, educated enough, loved enough, somehow the fundamental evil of their bondage dissolves. But chains covered in silk are still chains. Eliza married a man named George Harris, who belongs to a neighboring plantation. Their marriage, like all slave marriages, has no legal standing, no license, no civil protection. At any moment, either master could nullify it with a single word. They have one child, Harry, a 5-year-old boy with golden brown curls and bright, intelligent eyes.